Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Friday, January 2nd edition of our video devotionals. We appreciate you being with us today, and Happy New Year to everybody. And if you watch these on a regular basis, I do have some explaining to do. I get that, but we want to get in Happy New Year, and it is Friday. So, of course, it's been kind of an unusual week just because with the holidays. So yesterday, some of you may or may not have worked, and because it being the first day of the year, and it was a holiday. But anyway, it is Friday. So we'll just say it's the last day of the work week. And next week, more than likely, all the kids and all the students will be going back to school. So that'll be a busy time. And of course, you know how it is if you've had 2 weeks or 2 weeks plus off of school, then getting back into the routine. And I'm sure the teachers and professors and everybody will show mercy on everybody. But that being said, Happy New Year. Now, this past week, we were down on the coast to visit with Christy's mom and dad. That was kind of our Christmas portion. We left Monday morning, the 29th, and we just got back yesterday, kind of flew into town. We had our service, what would have been our Wednesday night service. We had it last night at 6:30, so it was food and fellowship and fun. Had a good time, and one of the last things we did was we broke up into groups. The ladies broke up into groups, men broke up into groups, and we prayed for each other. And so that being said, we did not have any devotions this past week. You know, it's unusual for me not to, but I didn't. Should have said something, I suppose. He didn't think I fell off the face of the earth or something happened. And one dear lady down in New Bern, she always checks with me when I don't have something up, and I appreciate her doing that. And I should have let everybody know there was a good chance I was not going to have any videos, but you get so busy, you're out of your element and all of that. You're on a different schedule. But that being said, we're back, and we'll be back like we always have been. So we're going to do like we did last year. We're going to kind of go through the Bible, and on certain occasions where there's some special event or holiday, maybe we'll deviate from what we're going to do. But today we're going to just do the old-fashioned through the Bible in 1 year's time. So that being said, we're going to be in Genesis chapter 4. Our key verse is verse number 19, and we'll read, I think, a verse from verse number 1 and verse number 25, but we'll start in verse number 19, give you that. But let me just say again, we say it every day we have the devotionals, but we do appreciate you. I think we picked up one new viewer. And so that being said, if you want to share these with other people, we'd love to try to be a blessing to people, but we try to limit them to about 5 minutes. So I know I'm kind of going on and on today, but we'll be brief today, but we try to keep them at about 5 minutes. And I'm going to try to do that again today. All right, so Genesis, of course, first book of the Bible. Many of the beginning things that we know about God and mankind, we obviously find out in the book of Genesis. So let me read Genesis 4:19. It says, "And Lamech took unto him 2 wives. The name of the one was Adah, and the name of the other Zillah." All right. Now, having said that, that's the first time in the Bible we find anybody having other than one wife. And you say, well, that's pretty early in the Bible. I know that. So you know that when God created Adam, he gave him Eve, one wife, all right? Notice Genesis 4:1, "And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived." So Adam had one wife, that was Eve. Notice verse number 25, chapter 4, verse 25. "And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son," and so on. So God created Adam to have one wife. So you say, well, where did all those wives that those men have in the Bible, where did that come from? Well, the first time it's ever mentioned that any man has more than one wife is this man by the name of Lamech. He's not that famous of a man. There's another Lamech that's a little bit more well-known. We won't go into that, but the point is, the first time a man has more than one wife, it does not seem something that God had directed, but rather man directed. So here's just the simple principle today. There's a lot of things we do, a lot of things that have been passed down, that is not something that originated with God. There's a lot of things that God allowed. God didn't destroy the man because he had 2 wives, but the man simply had 2 wives. If you were to go and read a little bit about this man, you would see there's not anything mentioned about the man that has anything to do with a close walk with God. So there are things in the Bible in which mankind has done that man has allowed to, or God has allowed to happen. So I guess on this January the 2nd, let's make sure we're doing principles that God has instituted. Let's try to live our life as principled as we can according to what God has given us, because when we get outside of that, it does create problems, and it certainly passes down traditions and ways that should not be done. Going to stop right there. Have a great day, safe day, healthy day. Lord willing, we'll be back on Monday, and thank you for watching.